Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you our NFL Week 3 preview between the Minnesota Vikings and the Cleveland Browns. Now let's take a look at some keys to victory for both teams, starting with the Vikings.
The Vikings have the potential to be explosive offensively, but two things have to happen in order for that to take place. Number one, Christian Ponder has to be willing to take risks down the field in the passing game. And two, Cordero Patterson needs to be more involved in the offensive attack. If they do those two things, they can improve dramatically offensively. Now, defensively speaking, this is supposed to be the strength of the Vikings team, the defensive side of the ball. And while immensely talented, they are struggling to get off the field on third downs, and they can't get to the quarterback. Now you have Kevin Williams back for his second game coming off that injury, and we'll see how well he does versus a weakened interior offensive line of the Browns. Now let's move over to the Browns in this ball game, and I would play with the rotation along the interior offensive line. There has been a real hindrance to team success so far this season. They are struggling right now from guard to guard. And I would also give Brian Hoyer, the new starting quarterback, simple high-low reads in the passing game and the freedom to make checks at the line, so that way if he sees something he doesn't agree with, he can check off into a better play. And I would also keep coverage condensed versus Christian Ponder defensively. He won't threaten deep down the field, so you can get aggressive in your pressure packages. And it also ties into my last point that I want to make, that you can trust your corners and safeties in coverage and take chances versus the run to get these guys off the field. Now let's go inside the lab to take a look at some X's and O's in this matchup.
The Minnesota Vikings can create some opportunities on offense with Christian Ponder if they utilize certain elements of the read option. I'm going to show you what I mean by the read option, and it's all about influencing the defense and also creating mismatches with formation alignment. You see right here we have three receivers stacked. This would be Cordero Patterson. This would be a wide receiver, Greg Jennings, or any wide, your third wide receiver. Let's say this is Jerome Simpson, and this would be your tight end. This would be Greg Jennings over here, and this is AP in the backfield. Now, how they can confuse the Browns, they're going to run the read option, and it's all about counting at the line of scrimmage. Where do we have the advantage? You're going to read this guy. So at the snap of the ball, we're going to have the center, the guard, and the guard, triple team the nose, and both guards working their way up to the backers, obviously, where you're going to hope your offensive tackles can hold their own versus the five techniques of the Browns. And you're reading this. If the linebacker is buzzing out here, then you hand the ball off to AP. If he's crashing down, Ponder pulls, quick pass to Cordero Patterson. You have the tight end block the backer, the receiver work up and block that corner, and Patterson hopefully can make this guy miss and run the daylight. So you see where a quick pass or just a sleight of hand can influence the backer, and the corner, and you create an opportunity for Christian Ponder. You want to make him make easy decisions. You can either hand it off to AP, depending on how the flow of the backers do versus the run fake. And if they are flowing, quick pass to Cordero Patterson, you have two blockers already available to block, and you can trust Cordero Patterson to make one miss each and every time. So this is a simple gadget type of play that they can run this week versus the Cleveland Browns, and I would utilize this probably as an opener. 1st and 10, new drive, coming out of halftime, some way to create a big play for that offense that sorely needs it, especially for Christian Ponder. The Cleveland Browns are starting Brian Hoyer at quarterback this week, and in order for him to have success, the running game has to have success. And in order for the running game to have success, Trent Richardson has to have success, and the Browns have to put him in a situation where he can be successful. And I think one of the best plays they can utilize with him is the lead draw. The reason why I love the lead draw for Trent Richardson, one, it spreads everything out. It makes it easy for him to see where the hole is, and that way he doesn't have to utilize his vision or lack thereof. He can hit the gap right away, utilize that power and that speed and acceleration, and that way he can run downhill, follow his fullback, and it keeps everything condensed. You don't have to worry about him trying to bounce it outside. So here's how the lead draw actually works, and this is versus man. So if you bring the receiver in motion, 9 times out of 10, that's going to put the cornerback over here as well. So the lead draw, again, shows pass, but it's really a run play. And what we're going to have, tackles blocking out. We're going to have the center work up and get the middle linebacker. Tackles blocking out. We're going to kick out that defensive end. Tight end is going to kick out the outside linebacker. Fullbacks leading in the hole with Trent Richardson. So everything spreads out. He's going to drop back and hand it off right here. Everything is spread out, so Richardson actually has a two-way go. If he sees this technique gets dominated and getting pushed down inside, he can cut it up here, or he can cut it up here, or if he sees the end crashing in, he has here. So it gives him a wide range of options in the running game where he could just put his foot down and get up the field quickly. That's how you utilize him to his effectiveness, and that's how you can get him going on the ground, and thus creating those play action opportunities and getting Brian Hoyer more involved in the passing game. Now I'm going to show you another lead draw example by utilizing if the defense is in a zone defense instead of man defense like I just drew up. Now the lead draw versus the zone defense, not a lot changes. The only thing that changes slightly is up front. You're going to have the center and the guard combo blocking to the backer, and you're going to have both wide receivers going up to try to get those safeties blocked, so that way Richardson can have more room to run and have a bigger lane to go and hopefully run the daylight. So versus zone, you're going to have, again, same rules apply. Now you're going to have the center and the guard combo blocking this technique in the hole, with the guard working up to get the backer block, kick out, kick out. Now we're going to have the receivers work up to try to get those safeties. Fullback leads in the hole. Richardson follows him right behind and hopefully running to daylight. So again, the lead draw is very effective versus defensive fronts that are over aggressive, and also it aids a running back in helping him find the right lane and hit it quickly, so that way he doesn't have to read behind the line of scrimmage. And that's what's going on right now in Cleveland. Richardson is doing too much reading and not a lot of reacting. You want to get him back to his Alabama days where it was just simple downhill running, and that's how they can get it done this week versus the Minnesota Vikings.
Now here are some coaching points for both teams in this ball game. For the Vikings, we talked about it before, the third down defense has to improve. This is too talented of a defensive front seven to not be able to get off the field. And you want to force the young quarterback Brian Hoyer into quick decisions, get aggressive, force him to dump that ball off, because this is one of the better tackling teams in the league. And I would also look at Bill Musgrave, the offensive coordinator, his creativity in creating those opportunities, not only in the passing game, but finding more room for Adrian Peterson to run the football. You have to be creative in your play calls versus a very tough defensive front in the Cleveland Browns. Now for the Browns in this matchup, you want to welcome back Josh Gordon to the lineup very early in this ball game. Take shots deep down the field, help build that confidence of a young quarterback, and also loosen up that box, showing the defense that you will take shots down the field throughout the course of the game. And you have to win the individual battles along that offensive line. Like I said before, the guard play has been atrocious right now for Cleveland. They have to do a better job, find the right rotation, find the right fit, and you have to compete up front and keep a safety close to the line of scrimmage. Like I said before, Christian Ponder won't threaten you deep down the field, so you can use TJ Ward as an additional guy and run support. The X factor for the Vikings in this ball game will be their defensive tackles. Kevin Williams will be in his second game back from the preseason injury, so he should continue to improve. And LaTroy Guillen is a guy that can definitely do a great job versus that interior offensive line of the Cleveland Browns. And that's going to be the real battle that has to be won for the Vikings defense in order to get off the field and also generate pressure from within. The X factor for the Browns in this ballgame will be offensive coordinator Norv Turner and how well he can get a young quarterback up to speed to where he can feel comfortable, acclimate a new receiver back into the lineup where he was a starter, and also get the ground game going. So he's going to have to do a lot this week in order for the Browns to be successful. I like the Vikings in this ball game more so because of the fact that the Browns have a lot of questions offensively, and I do believe the Vikings defense will finally get it together, especially going against that offensive line of the Browns. And second, when you look at the Vikings on offense, they have the pieces in place. They have the best running back in the game. There's talent at the receiver position as well as the tight end position. So I think there's enough offensive talent, and their offensive line is very good. It all falls on Christian Ponder. And while he's going against a very good Browns defense, Bill Musgrave, the offensive coordinator, will find enough plays to where he can be comfortable to where the Vikings can be successful. And also want to give a huge shout out to Viking fan forums and Brown fan forums for always showing football game plan support.